noticed I'm a little subdued today. Well, there could be a reason for that. And that is most type 1s, diabetics, are diagnosed earlier in life. And with it, they're perceived as being different. And at that age of teenager and young adult, you don't want to be classified as different. So, how do you handle depression? Well, I was lucky, and I'm sure that's what you all want to hear. But I just saw the benefits. I was a fat child. I know I'm big now, but I was really fat, and I went off to the hospital just for over a month. And I came back. I looked like a new person. It seemed like overnight I shot up, and I was this tall, lanky kid from this shorter, fatter kid. So I just turned down the... I thought that was great. But there's young adults that not only having to deal with diabetes, but have to deal with the depression side of things. Now, I know I keep looking weird looks. Now, depression, there's, I can't eat that. Oh, I've got to take shots. I've got to do blood tests. And let's face it, we all sort of remember high school. Yeah. And I went to a boarding school, and there was one time where someone hid my needles as, oh yeah, that would be a real funny joke. So there was some persecution with me. But on the whole, things were taken care of. But, good morning. People have to understand, our parents have to understand, that teen or peer pressure can be a big thing. Oh, I don't want to have to do that. If I go out to a movie or something with my friends, they can eat everything. But I can't. Now, this depression is real. I would never be one. And parents, a lot of times trying to be parents and trying to motivate and saying, oh, well, you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to do it to live. And that's not what a lot of young men, women want to hear. They want to know that they can go out and they can party and they can do everything. But, the truth is, a diabetic is different. but it's nothing that a lot of people have to notice all the time. Let's take a look at things. Well, I guess as a teenager, you can eat an awful lot of the junk food. And this can be sort of down, depressing. Oh yes, I get fruit. Oh. And I think I can see where that's coming from. The hospital, when I was diagnosed, had a Halloween party. And I know back then there wasn't too much for juvenile diabetics. But, I thought, oh, maybe I'd get some Trident or something. But everyone got their little treat bags. And I was handed a chicken salad sandwich. Oh, well, it's your snack time. You have to eat. But, if you're inviting kids, teenagers to a Halloween party, you can always bring things for a diabetic child. To this day, that seems to be my one pet peeve. Well, I don't know if it's a pet peeve, but it was one sort of big downer I can remember. So, I can understand where, teenagers are coming from, and people need to be aware of this. Next, oh yes, the shots and the blood tests. Oh well. It's something all diabetics have to do. But young teenagers, young adults don't want to hear that. Now, one time I was in the hospital, and I got a semi-private room, and I had to do some work, or I don't think it was school. No, I was out of school. It was a summer break, and it was college, and this guy came into the room, and he was a newly diagnosed diabetic. And he immediately turned off all the lights and said, close the blinds. I just wanted to be in total darkness. Okay. I don't think I really kind of, at that time, understood what depression was. Since then, a friend of mine has had to deal with depression. So, We all sat in the dark all day. I rented the TV. I can even watch the TV because this guy was carrying a big chip on his shoulder. I guess he thought, well, his life was over. No more partying, no more drinking. But I've always wondered what happened to this guy. His doctor tried to talk to him. It was even a social worker. And, they finally got him, I guess, somewhere where he could get help, because after a day or two, he was gone. And I tried to talk to him, but he wasn't budging about it. Teenagers like to experiment. And they'd like with drugs, with alcohol. But, they're not really wanting to say, oh, well, you're just going to have to do it now. Yay, just think back to your teenage years. How would that really sound to you? Doesn't really do that great. So, why do you try to do that with adults? Young adults, young teens? Maybe we can show them nowadays you could count carbs. And you could do a correction dose. But we need to teach them not to overdo things. If they go out and they want to have an ice cream sundae, we'll teach them an easy way to learn. Maybe you gotta have diet soda. Maybe not all the time, but teaching them how they can enjoy life. They can get out and still be as active. Oh, but I don't want to. I don't want to be low or have a low. No. And they can shy away from exercise too. Well, the one area in which a lot of teenagers tried to get acceptance is with weight. And, a lot of them use their diabetes in order to manipulate their weight. Either by not eating, which we know quite a bit about. Hello. And then there's also have been cases where a lot won't take their insulin. Because they saw, when they first got diagnosed, how much weight gain they lost. The problem with that is, A, you're up going to the bathroom all the time, and B, you're drinking, and C, you may lose your weight, but what you end up is, and it's just not healthy for your body, because they will be in an acidotic state. So what we need to be aware of is that you have to make sure your teenager knows how great they are, and no one's making them say they have to have the perfect body. Because in the teenage years, it's not going to happen. You have the one or two that do it, that manipulate the rest of them into thinking they're not good enough. So, there's an awful lot of kids who carried excess weight. And when they grew up, so, there is, in most of them, there's eating disorders and a whole bunch of other things. But just tell your kid how great they look. You can, without going to psychiatrists, you can head it off first. Don't be critical. If a person wants to have something else to eat, don't say, well, you're not allowed that. What you can say is, that's going to be 35 more carbs or whatever it is. Just so that they can manage their blood sugars to the best of their ability. Support isn't nagging, because you don't want them to feel that they can't do anything right and that they're no good. That's steps that will bring on depression. As individuals, as adults, we can always help our young diabetics to lead a healthy life without having to worry about weight gain or what they look like. Or there's a story how Tracy, the actress who played the middle child of Growing Pains, she ended up leaving, I think, a couple of seasons. And that was all because a stagehand or whatever made the comment, oh, she's putting on a few extra pounds. So what does that do to a young individual? Imagine what that would do to a diabetic. You want to make sure your son or daughter, cousin, whatever, niece, nephews, are doing what they can to ensure that they are living the best possible life they can. So, always give them positive notes. It's always easy to point out when a son or a daughter is doing something wrong. Fun things. A lot of schools now are rewarding kids who report other kids for doing something right. So do that with your teenager, your child, whatever. Look for something they're doing with their diabetes correct. Tell them that they look awesome in an outfit. We can never have too many compliments. I couldn't complain. Compliments. Now, that doesn't mean, when they really do something wrong, that you don't correct. You want to combat any negative stereotypes your son or your daughter gets at school. A lot of times, son or your daughter gets awesome friends. But there are times where you need to help build the self-confidence. You need to start sending the little messages. And you know what? Sorry, I was taking a look at Nico. And if, they start worrying about things or get depressed, it's not their fault. There is so much pressure put on diabetics, and especially type 1. Because there is such a myth that, oh well, you ate too much sugar. And that's not the case. But some people keep thinking that. So, what to do? Depression's not an easy thing to combat once it's there. But really working on it helps. And I like it. It's more the positive. You be positive about things. Like, oh, we're gonna get this solved. And see, that wasn't as bad as, thank you, as you thought. And information like that positively helps. You know what? There's not so much thing as one type of beauty. I don't care if your son or your daughter's 100 pounds more than they should be. You notice how I didn't say overweight. Don't just be positive about, how they're doing with stuff, but just everything in their everyday life. If they're, like I said, 100 pounds more than they should be, I didn't say overweight, because that's a negative connotation. Weight is something that a lot of teenagers, young women, grow into beautiful women. Doesn't mean they shouldn't get out there and try to exercise and be as healthy as they can be. And they can be healthy being a diabetic. Don't just be oh, you shouldn't have that much to eat. You don't want to get fat. Because you know what? You're just really sending a really negative Again, I think I mentioned earlier, just sort of tell them how many carbs. If they have a piece of bread, an extra piece of bread, you know what? Sometimes kids just get hungry. Gone are the days where, we had to sit and follow the meal plans exactly, and everything was, gotta be perfect, and if you weren't, you know, you couldn't eat any more if you were hungry, you couldn't eat any less if you weren't, and there was an awful lot of pressure. But the science of counting carbs, sorry, bumpy road, had not come alive yet. So parents did the best they can. But now, we can learn from that and move on. We all want to be a better parent than our parents were on us. So, a lot of times, you just need to step back and take a breather, before you say something that could just add to a depression of a young person. Well, that I think is going to be I think it's pretty well going to be a short one today, but take care, be positive.